So, guys, let's just get right to the meat of it. And that is that the Denver Nuggets have won their first NBA championship in franchise history. As we know, they joined the NBA back in, what was it, like the 70s as an
The
ABA
merger.
franchise with the merger, as Jaevon said. And now, after playing 47 seasons in the NBA, the Nuggets have won their first championship.
Wow.
So I'm not going to fluff my own feathers too much, but Jaevon, at one point you did think that the Nuggets would win this series in 5 games, and so were you surprised at all at the outcome of this one?
Fumble that bag
Um,
one.
I'd say after game 3, I was like, all right, because we recorded, I think, after game
Two.
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 It was game 2, so I was like, all right, the Heat are probably going to come back, do this, that, and third. And it was like after they won game 3, I was like, all right, it's looking like old takes exposed, I guess. So you can put all my I got a bunch, man. Even going back to the Notebook, I said
Nope, I was saying go to the Notebook.
I was like, you could look in the Notebook. I said that they were going to lose in the second round. The Joker just turned on a different level this season, and probably looking back, hindsight 2020, he probably should have been the MVP. But then there are all these people pointing back and saying, look at all the guys that won. They're Hall of Famers, and and it's looking like Joker's probably going to be a Hall of Famer. If you look at his resume, me and Kat were kind of chit-chatting a little bit before the podcast. He's up there with the all-time greats. There's the Kareems, there's the Shaqs, the Tim Duncans, the Elijah Wans. You could even put Karl Malone in there. Just all those guys, except Malone, won rings and were MVPs at some point in time in their careers. Multiple All-Stars. He's meeting the criteria.
Barkley.
Barkley. I mean, he's meeting the criteria. Shout out to Isaiah Thomas. But I just think that I don't think it's over. I don't think this is just the Nuggets win one and that's it. I feel like they got a little bit more in the tank. Their stars are young. Jokic is 26. He might be 26. Someone fact check me on that. Jamal Murray is relatively young, and that's pretty much their core guys. They have a bunch of guys around them. KCP. I think he's the oldest player, one of the oldest players on the team at 30 years old.
Jokic is 28.
28. Yeah, so they got 5-6 years left in the tank of high level basketball for sure from these two core guys. So, and they got a great coach in Michael Malone, not Mike Malone. So I just think this Nugget team has a lot left in the tank. Shout out to the Heat. They beat us in 7 games, us beating the Celtics. So who knows how far the Celtics would have actually gotten based off of what the Heat were able to do. I thought that Jimmy Butler kind of ran out of gas a little bit. He was playing out of his mind, early in the playoffs, having 56-point games and 45-point games, this, that, and the third. We saw that earlier. We saw, Caleb Martin and Max Strus, the mask came off, I guess. So, those guys played out of their minds in the Eastern Conference Finals. And in the finals, they kind of just, kind of showed you why they were undrafted players. But the Heat have been able to prove that they can get to Eastern Conference Finals, Western Conference Finals with undrafted free agents consistently. So there's a system that works, and Pat Riley has something up his sleeve. I will not sleep on Jimmy Butler and the Heat. They are zombies. Let's not forget that they did all of this without Tyler Hero, even though he tried to go tonight and was, it's pretty much not really effective because obviously he was still hurt. He was ruled out initially, I think like a day ago, yesterday, and then all of a sudden he got upgraded to questionable. He's like, I'm playing tonight. You can't blame him because when your team's down, 3-1, you want to try and, give the best shot that you can. But when you're not healthy, it's going to show, and you're ultimately hurting your team when you're out there playing hurt. Yeah, man, I just think, this Heat team is going to be in a whole gang of shit this summer. We saw Dame kind of, hey, out of all these teams, what team would you go to? I love Miami, and Bam's my dog. So who would be surprised if we see a Dame trade somehow, some way?
Maybe Harden somehow.
And Harden could be the Heat are going to be in the mix for a whole bunch of shit. Who
As
doesn't
they
want to
should
play
be.
Who doesn't want to play in Miami? It's Miami, right? But there's a whole culture that goes into it. The Harden, what's 3% body fat? I don't know if Harden's going to meet that criteria, but I think, the Heat, this offseason is going to be crazy for them. They're going to figure out a way how to bounce back and get back to the same position that they were in. They've been in, they were in the finals during the bubble. They're in the finals now. So they were in the Eastern Conference finals last year. So they're always in that bubble. So when we start talking about, teams that are going to be in the mix, right before the season starts, no one really seems to ever name the Heat. They probably named them to be a playoff team, but they're a team that consistently can get to a deep playoff run and have a deep playoff run with their guy and Jimmy Butler. So they haven't won a championship with this team yet, but they're knocking on the door for sure. And they're going to be a force to be reckoned with for the next few years or however long Pat Riley and Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and those guys are going to be there.
The breaking news going into Game 5 of the NBA Finals today was that Tyler Hero was going to give it a go, as you had mentioned, but he ultimately does not play in this game at all. And the Heat looked like they possibly needed him, but who knows? I wanted to follow up on one thing that you said before I pass it off to someone else, because you mentioned how Jimmy Butler kind of tailed off. Let's not forget that Jimmy Butler did roll his ankle in the second round against the New York Knicks. Just because he doesn't talk about it, because he's not the type of person to do that, to make excuses, let's not forget that that did happen. I'm not saying that you selectively forgot about it, Jaevon. I just wanted to mention it just to remind everyone, Jimmy Butler was still doing everything on a rolled ankle, which I think is very impressive. Kevin, you were the only one of us to pick the Heat in this series. I commended you for representing Heat Island because I jumped ship and I picked the Nuggets in 5. But you picked the Heat in 7 for this series. So what was your outlook on how this went?
I thought they were going to keep rolling. They put all their energy into that Boston Celtics Game 7. That series was another hard-fought series, going through the Knicks, going through the Bucks. And like you mentioned, Jimmy Butler got banged up, and we're kind of seeing the Heat come back to life. They were the 27th ranked, or actually the worst offense in basketball last year. So they couldn't score a lot of points. I was talking to Toddy about it before the show. 4 out of 5 games, they didn't score over 100 points. So they were just on fire. Max Strus had 2 0-point games. Toddy talked about earlier, Caleb Martin was coming in and being really productive. We talked about Kyle Lowry on this podcast coming off the bench and doing his thing. The lights get bright. And, they crumbled. And it kind of sucks to see, Jimmy Butler, he had at one point in the game, the fourth quarter, he had 8 points. And they were all free throws. I'm pretty sure. So it's just sad to see him go down. But Jamal Murray and the Joker are going to be a crazy duo. We talked about it earlier in the podcast on Factor Cap. If they were a top 5 duo, and they could be arguably one after this run. So I got some stats for you guys. Jamal Murray becomes the first point guard since Magic Irving Johnson to have 4 straight games of 10-plus assists. Nikola Jokic now joins a crazy list of NBA All-Stars to win a title without another All-Star, another All-NBA player, and another All-Defensive teammate. Joining them LeBron in 2015-2016, Ben Wallace in 03-04, Hakeem Olajuwon in 93-94, and Rick Barry in 1974-75. So the Nuggets are going to have a bright future, like Toddy mentioned. So now it's really time to see what they can do. Now they just got to build on it. They have a young roster. They have everybody bought in for multiple years. So I'm really interested to see where they're going. And I can't wait for the crazy narrative. Is Jokic the best European basketball player now?
Man, years ago, I thought that Kristaps Porzingis had that potential to maybe be that one day. Man, he has sure. Yeah, Luka does without a doubt, but Porzingis, man, he's still a serviceable NBA player, but man, he sure did fall off. Yeah, he actually might, Gary, just because, it's all about supply and demand. And just to follow up on one thing you said, Kevin, Jimmy Butler finishes with 21 points in this game. When he started his scoring, he scored 11 straight points
on threes.
And he had 5 points going into that point. 5 points through 44 minutes of this game. Then he scores 11 straight points, finishes with 21 and 16 overall in the fourth quarter, I believe. And so amazing performance for Jimmy Butler in the fourth quarter, but the Heat probably needed more than the 5 points that they got from him until that point. Gary, before we get your comments on this series, I just wanted to get to a couple more YouTube comments at youtube.com/statsoverpolitics. As Dejan says, Kings winning the finals next year. I hope you're right. Evan says, the guys, we appreciate you, Evan. And then Dejan also says, LeBron had a torn ligament and he's 40. Jimmy gets no excuse. Is that, Kevin, is that your burner?
Dejan.
No,
Is that my burner?
Thank Dejan. Thank you, man. I was going to say, I don't want to hear no excuses right now. Everyone's injured in the playoffs.
So
he's on one
just
foot
take the ball and run with it there, Gary. What did you think
Ah,
it?
man. So there's so many. No. I'll hit it. There's so many different angles I wrote down here. I'm not gonna lie. Watching this game, the first one I gotta go up to is congrats to the Denver Nuggets. You know, it was a great hard-fought series between them and the Miami Heat. Exactly. We're already talking about next year. Even though the coach is already talking about next year, it's like they didn't even look like they celebrated that good. Like they didn't even know they won yet. Like they were like some players were like letting it go. Something like Jokic looked like he was like, "Did I really just win? Can I go home now?" He said the job's finished. Can I go home now?
I can't wait to see him
pretty,
the parade.
I know, right? I was thinking, like, just real quick note. I know it's a Sacramento Kings based podcast. I was just thinking in my head, like, man, if we're right, if they're doing the trophy celebration and we won, they'll still be saying light the beam the whole thing. You wouldn't even probably be able to hear Lisa Salters. But anyways, it was really congrats to the Nuggets. It was a great finals. And to be honest with you, they just had their way. They had too much in the tank for the Miami Heat, and we get to see the Miami Heat just ran out of gas. It was pretty tough, like we were talking about in the chat, or you guys are chiming in, how this really is lockdown defense, multiple games where the Heat couldn't score over 100 points. This went to, like, really, especially this game. I think I'm forgetting his name right now. Oh my God, the play-by-play guy. How am I forgetting his name? But it's his 100th game today.
Mike Green.
Mike Green, 100th game today. And he said it perfectly at the end of the third quarter. He said it was just a slugfest going back and forth. It was just on defense, even offense too, had a little spurts, but mainly defense. It was so cool to watch. But
was
the
finals game or like 100th game, like ever?
His 100th covering as a commentator covering the game, as like the play-by-play guy for the game. Okay. But so yeah, it was pretty cool.
Because he started in 2006.
Gotcha.
Exactly. So I think the Nuggets, just them, really just shout out to two things about the Nuggets that I think we could really appreciate, especially as us being like loyal NBA fans, day-to-day watchers and stuff for that. Like, they've been number one all year, and they proved it in the playoffs. They've been climbing each and every year since the bubble of getting farther and farther, going against those Clippers, those Lakers. They're going against the Suns, the Dallas Mavericks. So them just chipping away, even though had some bumps in the road with so many injuries, finally getting over that hump and taking the regular season serious. I think that's a good thing for the NBA. Also for the Miami Heat side, from a team that, doesn't take the regular season too much serious in terms of the star players, but in terms of every night trying hard, and they just proved that through this whole playoff run, being all the teams that we literally all picked, from the Bucks to the Celtics. Obviously, we didn't even know one picked the Knicks to go to the championship, but out of those teams, man, they really went through some big dogs to get to this point. So you guys shout out to them. But hey, I think just in this final note for this finals, you could just say they ran out of gas. Like, the Nuggets were just, I don't know if you guys ever feel like this, but I actually just, when I got to watch Jokic in person this year against the Kings, but I know we keep talking about the Kings, but hey, that's how we relate. That, like, literally, I was like, this guy does not miss. He does not miss. I don't know if you guys feel that way, but like, literally, when he plays the game, like, if he misses a shot, it's like, oh, this touch was barely off, or like it's just an accidental. Like, every shot feels like it's going in. I think he shot 56% this series, averaging 30 points and almost, I'm pretty sure, a triple-double. I'm pretty sure he averaged. And I know for sure I've seen Jamal Murray averaged a double-double this series, which is great for him. People knocking on him that he's just a scorer his whole life, basically. So him just proving they can do anything on that floor. I think the Denver Nuggets, like you guys said, they're going to be knocking on the door for quite a few years now, and there's some team that you're going to have to go through now. They're going to have a chance to create the dynasty. I don't know if you guys seen that Perk take. He said next 20 years there won't be ever a dynasty or back-to-back, something like that. Maybe we should talk about that, because this is one of the teams that can really take that hot take and put it in the water.
Well, just to respond to that one real quickly, I do think that Perk is wrong, because I do think that eventually we're going to end up with a team that was like the 2017-18 Warriors, where they're just so dominant that they're going to win back-to-back. And they could have won 3 in a row if not for the injuries that happened in 2019. And so
they would have.
Exactly. And so we're going to see. What'd you say, Gary? He said the next 20 years or so?
Next 20 years. That's going to be pretty tough. I kind of
see the angle,
long
though. Time.
Just because of CBA. Just because it's going to be hard to stack teams. But that's the only reason I can see it not happening. But like you said,
sometimes Big Birds will be talking.
Great duos. Now, I'm just saying it's not too of a wild take, though. It's not too much of a wild take.
No, It's not that wild because I'm sure, I mean, I know that you guys aren't as locked into the WNBA as I am, but I'm sure that back in like 2002, when the LA Sparks won their second championship in a row, I'm sure that no one thought that they would go another 20 years at least since there was back-to-back champions in the WNBA. The Houston Comets, they won back-to-back championships. So did the Sparks. So it could happen. Perk could be right. I mean, we could be revisiting this in 2043 and be like, hey, you guys remember when we laughed at Kendrick Perkins and he ultimately was right? I mean, we'll see. But
we always laugh at Big Bird.
To me, I'm not going to just spinning it forward. And I'm sorry to the Denver Nuggets. Congratulations to the Denver Nuggets. Congratulations to my family in Colorado who are Nuggets fans. Happy for all of you. But just
Go
spinning
Broncos.
it forward now. Broncos country, let's ride. Oh man, I couldn't stop saying that to my cousin when I he was in attendance. So was Sean Payton. Hopefully Sean Payton turns it around.
Rub off on him, huh, Sean?
It's been a great couple of years for Colorado fans as they had the Colorado Avalanche, the hockey team won it last year, and then this year they have the Denver Nuggets. So congratulations to everyone in Colorado. But just to spin it forward to next season, I'm not going to pick the Nuggets in my way too early predictions. I'm not picking the Nuggets to go back to back for the same reason that, like, if you guys remember going into this season, do you remember how everyone, not everyone, but a majority of the prognosticators, they were all saying Golden State's going to go back to back. Like, Golden State is back. It's amazing. Like, they're going to win 2 in a row. And then they lost in the second round. So I'm not going to over exaggerate on the Nuggets, but I was impressed with what I saw. Jaevon, do you think that the Nuggets could repeat?
Well, Trae Young just tweeted, said, "We next" with a ring emoji.
Because he's out of there. He's getting traded.
2 minutes ago.
I like the energy, Trey. I like the energy.
That was something to laugh about. I don't know. You know, there's a bunch of guys. I bet you the Lakers are probably like the favorites to win it next year. The Nuggets should be favorite. I mean, they just won it 30 minutes ago. So I mean, there's a lot of teams that should be kind of like in the rankings. People are going to be wondering what the Mavs are going to look like, the Suns, you know, all those guys, those crazy duos that are still out there. The Kings, maybe the Kings are top 10 in odds because they look pretty good. The Warriors, people were like, they can't hear Warriors fans say, "We're the champions, still the Nuggets win the championship." So,
Done.
I think it's yeah, man, there's a bunch of guys, you know, there's just so much things that have to happen. Like off season is going to be changing a lot of stuff. So draft is going to be a big deal, and the San Antonio might be in there because they're getting Wembanyama. So,
but that's why this is your way too early prediction. We don't know anything that's going to happen over the next month in the NBA offseason.
I think they're going to be in the mix, guaranteed.
Jaevon goes with maybe. Go ahead, Gary.
I'm not saying they're going to win it back to back just because, like Vaughn said, there's a lot of plays to be happening. But I know my really early predictions, they should be for sure in the mix, 1,000%. Like at least Western Conference Finals, you can pretty much, I think, pencil them in at the moment. Especially because as we see in these playoffs, man, they went through some big dogs. They went through Kevin Durant. They went through LeBron. They went through some big guys to get to this point. So they're not. And they
Anthony
went through
Edwards,
and
those other series you just didn't even mention.
I know, and then look, and there were some young bulls coming right there. So you know what I'm saying? And I think the main thing about this team is that they're young, hungry, and man, they're just big body. Like they literally use their big body lean just to just wear down Miami. You could just tell. And they got that. I think they got a lot of that still coming. They still got, I think, Bruce Brown, Aaron Gordon.
Contract.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think they got a lot of guys under contract still. So you know, this team is pretty much locked in due to health. I think they can be making noise. And like I said, Jokic is obviously, I think we could put to rest right now. He took the crown from Giannis now and is put on top of his head at the moment, and we'll see who takes it next. But at the moment, he's the king of the mountaintop right now, Jokic, and with those making everyone proud that he won 2 MVPs, making his home city proud, making Denver proud, and as he should, especially sitting up there with his child up there. It's always cute when they always bring the child up there, man. It's just a cool moment to see him. So, you know what? Shout out to him because I bet you, like you said, I forgot what. Oh yeah, I seen it on the thing. It was the last pick, like the latest pick ever to win NBA Finals MVP. So that right there, that's just a crazy ass stat right there that you even got to this point when we all see the pictures of him looking like even the owner said, see this chubby kid from wherever he
Serbia.
said Serbia. I don't know if that was what the owner said, but he said something chubby kid, and I was like, bro, that's so crazy that like this kid that you never expected just proved that skills and hard work and determination and just being straight poised. Like you never see him ever just fumbling the moment away or ever just rushing things. He's going his own pace. He's getting his buckets and he's doing it his way. And he's making the NBA pay for it right now. And he's sitting as a champion.
So the Nuggets duo of Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic finish with these NBA Finals stats. Jokic finishes with 30.2 points per game on 58% from the field, 14 rebounds and 7.2 assists. Murray finishes with 21.4 points, 45% from the field, 6.2 rebounds, and 10 assists. And Jamal Murray also became the first player in NBA history. Jaevon, did I just take your stat that you were about to say? Because I saw you ready to get it.
Actually, no, I don't think you stole it. Go ahead.
Okay, well, what I was going to mention is that Jamal Murray is the first player in NBA history with 10-plus assists in their first 4 finals games, as he averages.
I got you, though.
Okay. What was yours?
All right, I got a couple stats. You know,
let's hear it.
Oh, stat guys.
Give some stats. So, you know, according to
stats over politics.
Well, first stat is Jokic is the first Finals MVP center to win Finals MVP in 20 years.
Shaq, last one.
Jokic, I think Shaq was the last one. He also led the playoffs, not the NBA Finals, the playoffs in points, rebounds, and assists. And then last but not least, my last stat is about Jamal Murray, who I did have my Finals MVP. It was plus 375, I believe. Did not work out so well. It's all right. It's $10. What's $10, right? What's $10?
The hotline's starting off cold.
What's $10 when you're a baller like you?
Yeah, when you get Chicago Fire every night.
The last 3 guards. So the last 3 guards with 100-plus points, 50-plus assists, 45% field goal, and a final series were Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and Jamal Murray. So Jamal Murray's in some conversation, some Hall of Fame conversation. So got to put some respect on his name. He's top 5 guard, right, Kev?
Hey,
yeah, that
clutch buckets.
Yeah.
And off the ACL.
That's a hard debate.
2 years came back. Boom.
Didn't the Warriors beat them last year in the playoffs?
Yes,
last year?
they did. Without
first
Jamal.
round, 5 games.
But
without Jamal and without
MP.
Porter and MVP.
That would be a playoff series I'd like to see.
I know they've been saying it all year. They said we ain't lost it with Jamal since he's been back. So they got something to prove. They said when he's healthy, it's the bubble.
Yeah, the stat that I love the most that you mentioned, Jaevon, is the fact that Nikola Jokic is the first me? Yeah, yes, it's you. But yeah, I just love the fact that a center won the Finals MVP for the first time in a long time, considering, as Adam Silver mentioned, that this is the first NBA Finals that they have had since Bill Russell passed away, and the Finals MVP is named after Bill Russell. And so the fact that it's the first Finals MVP that's a center in 2 decades, that's pretty awesome to me. And Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, they finished as the first duo in NBA history to average 25 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, and 5 assists per game in a single playoff run. That reminds me of the Tyreek Evans stat from when he was a rookie, 25 and 5. I mean, the Sacramento Bee
was cooking everybody that year. Shaun, y'all don't know basketball.
I remember it very vividly because the Sacramento Bee had like a whole spread when he won Rookie of the Year, where they had 4 separate days that they did a whole like life-size poster of Tyreek. And my mom, exactly, yeah, my mom, she not anymore since I moved into an apartment. It's rolled up. I probably should put it on a door, but yeah, it used to be on the back of my bedroom door where Tyreek Evans is standing like 6'6" or whatever. And I'll never forget that rookie year. It was amazing. And also just to talk about, I think this was Tyreek's former coach, Michael Malone. He becomes the second longest tenured coach in NBA history before winning a title. This isn't Shaun's pop quiz, but any guesses, guys, who the longest tenured coach in NBA history was before they won their first NBA title with that team?
The Nuggets or just in?
like in NBA history, the long like this guy was with this team for X amount of seasons. He was with this team for 9 seasons before he won his first championship. The hint is that he won a championship with another team before he became the coach of this team. It's related to this series. Heat legend.
Pat Riley.
Oh, Pat Riley?
There we go, Pat Riley.
I
I knew once I said that. There we go.
I knew this.
Gary, I don't want to hear it. If I didn't even hear any types of guesses, that's who I was thinking of.
Hey, you know what you gave away when you said they already won a championship before, and I was like, oh,
yeah. See, I should have let it marinate a little bit longer. That's my fault.
DeAndre Jordan has won a ring before Chris Paul and Blake Griffin. It's crazy.
Oh man! Shout out to DJ, man. He cool.
Lob City.
KCP got another one too.
He saw him dancing. You see him 2-stepping out there. He was having a blast. You could tell he's like, I'm about to club. What do you mean he didn't ring chase? They wanted him. They wanted. They paid him a bag to come over there.
That's true.
Yeah, he's just a role player, is what he is, and he played his role very well, especially in these last 2 games. Any other final thoughts about the Denver Nuggets, guys?
That damn Russell.
No, we switching to the Heat now. Congrats to the Denver Nuggets, NBA champions.
I mean, Gary, what else do you want to say about the Heat? Go ahead.
I don't know, man. I just don't like how Jimmy's. I know you guys are gonna. He did a great. He put him all the way to this point. Congrats, Jimmy. But like as you said, I don't think he would make excuses for himself too. I just wish, and all my cousins were saying that Jimmy's gonna start like about 3 minutes work. He's gonna try to start cooking, and boom, right on time. And my mom said, "Isn't that gonna be too late?" And I'm like, "Yes, Mom, it's gonna be way too late because that's what happened. It was just way too late for Jimmy to cook." And like just like the broadcaster Stan Van Gundy was saying, like man, like they just Jeff Van Gundy. Sorry, Jeff Van Gundy was saying like really they were putting a lot of pressure on these their teammates to make threes, and when the threes weren't knocking, especially in Denver, I knew that. And Denver weren't hitting threes too, but I know at some point the crowd was going to unite and get them a little spark, and that's what they did. And I wish Miami was just so close, man, just so close. They even got people might say, the crazy. NBA's rigged. I'm trying to do Vaughn's voice. He'd be doing pretty good. How the crowd be talking. NBA's rigged. It's scripted, bro. It's scripted.
NBA is rigged. It's scripted.
It's scripted, and it kind of looked like that, especially with the Butler shot. I'm not gonna lie, in the corner 3. I'm like, that's a tough call they made, but they still gave it to him, which is so close. But man, this team, they're still knocking on the door. I think that they're gonna, like Vaughn said, they're still like 1 or 2 paces away from really, making just the next jump because I think they have a lot of guys who are like in one above role where they should be. They should be knocked down a pedestal so that they can just be more comfortable and it won't be, just like that. Even though one thing, okay, 2 things real quick on just the Pacific this game. What do you guys think? First of all, the turnover by Jimmy. What did you guys see on that? I was irritated because he got 2 feet in the paint.
He was trying.
But he tried to do the fadeaway, but he slipped. But that corner 3. They've been reading it all night. That spread out, kick out 3. So that one was like good on KCP, locked in on defense. But man, the pull up 3, my cousin hated it. Even my little cousin called me, why did Jimmy take the fadeaway 3? But I was like, I think it was good just because if you guys, I know a lot of time was left. I just think that he knew that, all right, if I don't pull this right now, he's going to hug up on me and it's going to be a 2-point game and maybe go to the free throw line. And then we're playing missed free throws and things of that nature. I think he just wanted to, boom, let's just tie this thing up, send it to OT right now. So what you guys think about those 2 possessions by Jimmy? Even though he was doing great all year, we don't want to knock on him or anything, but hey, we got to talk about the last moments here.
Well, I just want to touch on the kick real quickly, in which Aaron Gordon was called for a foul, but Jimmy Butler inevitably stuck his foot out and kicked Aaron Gordon in the groin. That one was very similar to Mike Bibby fouling Kobe Bryant with his face. Mike Bibby fouled Kobe Bryant's elbow with his face back in the 2002 Western Conference Finals. And apparently today, Aaron Gordon fouled Jimmy Butler's foot with his groin. And so that's all I have to say about that. Go ahead, Jaevon.
You got to give credit to the Nuggets defense. Their game plan throughout this entire series has been top notch. You got to give credit to Michael Malone on the defensive effort that pretty much this team has given. I just thought that the Nuggets were packing the paint pretty well. So Jimmy was trying to drive right, and he pretty much didn't have. There was really no lane for him to get to the basket.
Steve Nash little cut around.
What he should have did was just retreat dribble and just kept his dribble alive. But instead, he stopped his dribble, and that kind of just allowed the ball to become dead. Me and Kev know a lot about that from Coach Fred back in the days. Won the ball to dead, you just scream dead. And then, KCP kind of just, had them. He was in help defense and kind of just made the right play. And he kind of just stuck to his man. It's pretty much what it's his basic defense, really. And just when the ball stops, you kind of just stick to your man and deny the ball. And KCP did that. Got an easy steal. As far as the Jimmy Butler 3, he's the guy to take the last shot. He's the superstar of the team. So you can't be mad at him for taking the shot. Probably what I would have did is try to extend. I was listening to Jeff Van Gundy, or not Jeff Van Gundy. Is it? No, it was Jeff Van Gundy. Yeah. So Jeff. Yeah. So I was listening to him. Saying they should have extended the game basically from try to make the game as long as possible. They're down 5, so you either need a 3 or a 2. So what I would have tried to do was try to go for the 2 and then foul.
Pull a heat.
And just make it. They ain't got no shit.
I said that to my cousin. They were celebrating that little 30-second or 15-second mark and down 5, and I was like, "Hey, the Heat Ray Allen moment. They were celebrating too early." Then my cousin's like, "They ain't got Ray Allen in the building, bro."
They don't. So I thought that it was, you got to live with that shot because you'll never know pretty much. But if it were me, Jimmy Butler, he's really good at getting to the basket. I kind of saw him passing out of a lot of shots in the first quarter. He was driving to the basket a lot and was passing out of a lot of shots, looking for Max Strus, who didn't have it, looking for Caleb Martin. I'd say the only person that kind of had it from 3 was Kyle Lowry, but he wasn't in down the stretch. So Jimmy Butler was passing out of a lot of. He was like literally at the rim, and he was passing out of shots all throughout the fourth quarter. So I would have just been able. He's really good at getting to the rim and just causing contact, and he's good at finishing through the contact. So he could have gotten a foul and gotten an and one. That could have been your 3 points that you needed. So. Instead of passing out for a low percentage shot from 3, especially with there only being like 20-something seconds left. So I would have tried to extend the game as much as possible.
What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, he had to shoot the shot. Like Toddy said, that's kind of his role on this team. We talked about it last year with that shot in Game 7 in Boston. When he took that, or was it in Miami?
Miami.
And it rolled out. They're gonna ride with Jimmy. He's the one who
got that foul call in Miami.
I was talking about the type of shot. You like the type of shot you took, Kev, or no?
Oh, at that point, you can tell they're playing on a flat tire. You gotta go for the 3. You can try to play the let's go for a 2 on free throws, but they're already on a decrease, and they had all the momentum with Denver. So I think that's the best shot you could have taken, in my opinion.
Yep, I agree.
I probably would have gone for the layup and tried to extend the game because at that point there's 24 seconds left. There's like 24.
They would have fouled you probably.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're gonna go for a free throw line for 2. So yeah, but you stop the clock. So it's a tough one. But I think, like Kev said, I agree with being on the away floor. Go ahead, Shaun.
I was just going to say, stop. Okay, so 24 seconds left. And I did not play high school basketball. I know Jaevon and Kevin both did. Garry, I don't know if you did. So I'm probably the least experienced person to talk about this. But just my opinion is I would have gone for the layup because you think about it. If you attack the basket right away, 24 seconds left, attack the basket. Okay, you run 5-6 seconds off the clock. Then you got 18 seconds left. You go to the line. Hopefully who you drove to the basket with is one of your best free throw shooters because that's the idea. And then you go to the line, you cut it down to 1. Then they have to go to the other side and make those pressure free throws. Maybe one of them goes over there and they knock them down. But to me, I'm putting the pressure on them rather than just throwing up a heat because like you said earlier, Garry, they don't have Ray Allen on that team right now. So he's not walking through that door. So those are my final thoughts on the NBA Finals. And any other final thoughts before we move on to some other NBA topics?
I got one more thing to say. So with the Nikola Jokic coming in and doing this playoff run, where does this rank against Dirk's playoff run?
Dirk's?
Yeah, so let me tell you who Dirk played in his 2011 championship run.
LeBron, he be like a
yeah. So hold on, let me go through. So in the first round, they played the Blazers with Brandon Roy, LaMarcus Aldridge, Marcus Camby, Nicholas Batum. Then they played the Lakers with Kobe, Paul Gasol, Lamar Odom, Andrew Bynum. Then they play the young big 3 with KD, Russ, and Harden, and then they go on to beat not 1, not 2, not 3, the Miami Heat, big 3.
That's like the greatest finals run like ever. If you think about all the Hall of Famers that are on that playoff run, and top 5 just greatest of all time, they're on that list. So it's just like Dirk single-handedly just ran through the Western Conference, and just him and J Kidd and Mark Cuban, I guess we're gonna win it all. So I mean, that's just probably because he beat Kobe. He beat a lot of people forget how cold Brandon Roy actually was before he got hurt. They beat a young, like you said, Russ, James, KD, or was it just Russ and KD? James,
that was both, all 3 of them.
Oh yeah, they were all there. So and then
I don't think they were in those series. Maybe
that Heatles team, but a lot of people forget, like, LeBron said they were supposed to be a team that was supposed to win 7 championships because, I mean, LeBron, it was unheard of.
That was a tequila talking, man.
It was unheard of how crazy it was, because I think that was the first. Yeah, it was the first year. That was the first year together. So they were heavy favorites to win the finals that year. There's no way they were going to lose. You're telling me Dirk Nowitzki's going to beat LeBron James in the finals? No freaking way. I'd have laughed at you.
To me, it's simple that Dirk didn't have Jamal Murray. Point blank.
Yeah, J Kidd.
He had a old-ass J Kidd. Congratulations.
J.T. was doing stuff.
Come on, guys. You guys know
Terry. Don't forget J.T. Terry, the Jet.
JT.
Asia. J.J. Redick. Or not J.J. Redick. He had, what's his name? What's the other little dude?
Tyson Chandler.
J.J. Barrera.
There we
J.J.
go.
Barrera
Was on that team.
All right. Well, I got to ask you guys one more question. So with we're talking about playoff runs with Nikola Jokic to beat 3 play-in teams on his way to a championship. Do you think that's going to slander his playoff run?
Oh, you put it like that, kid. That's a bad context. That's why you're angle it, though. I didn't even think about the
playing team. So the Lakers were a playing team.
About that.
But they made it to the finals. They made it to the Western Conference Finals. So
I mean, they played the 8th seed Timberwolves. They played a team with the Phoenix Suns who played 10 games with a full healthy victory.
So what are you trying to do? Can you trying to discount
them?
They
played the Lakers, a playing team, and then they beat a playing team in the finals. I'm just saying, that's what people are saying. They're saying it's not a legit run.
Nah.
Oh, don't do that. I'm not doing no
legit
run.
Finals, though.
They gentlemen sweep these guys.
They talk about all day on the big heads, sports heads, so I have to ask.
They handle their business. They deserve 100% respect. Go ahead, Shaun.
The Nuggets lost 4 total games in this entire playoff run, and they were the best team in the NBA all season. Number 1 overall seed. And we're going to penalize them because they decided to add the great idea, which is the play-in tournament. Fuck no. This was an amazing playoff run. I'm sorry. I know you had to ask that, but hell no.
Yeah, that was had to ask
TikTok.
I was
going on TikTok.
To me, the Nuggets were by far the best team in the NBA. They proved it in the regular season. They proved it in the postseason. I don't know what else they want, or what Kevin may want, or anyone else may want from them. Like I feel like I'm Michael Malone right now. Like how he went after the media. He's like, we won game 1 against the Lakers, and everyone wants to talk about the Lakers and what the Lakers did wrong, not what the Nuggets did right. It's like I kind of feel that way.
They handle business simple.
Yeah, like they did it every single step of the way to me. The only thing that they didn't check off the list this year was Jokic winning his 3rd consecutive MVP. And I think every single one of us through the last 2 months has said Jokic might have should have won MVP. No. Okay, I heard it. I think I heard someone say that earlier today. Okay, just making sure.
I think he's happy with his finals MVP that he traded in for, basically. It's all good. Let Embiid have his thing. Stop trying to take it away.
It's a parade inside my city.
Just want to get to a couple of comments here on episode number 33 of Stats Over Politics. As our guy Wes checks in, he says, "Young Ant, ... Then our guy Jesse, Gary's brother, says, "That's why they are the Nuggets got the best record." Thank you very much, Jesse. I completely agree.
Jesse.
Yeah,
that's my little brother.
I was going to just read it straight out.
So for the audio only listeners who were not able to read what Jesse said, that's why the Nuggets got the best record. We appreciate it.